Got the Land Legacy boys out here on the farm again today. They brought down all their gear yesterday and it fit in the back of their pickup. I was pretty surprised.
Right.
You just told me if you own 5,000 acres of land, you'd use all this same stuff.
Exact same stuff. Sure, I might have some bigger equipment like a tractor or skid steer, but right here, this is 80% of the work you can get done right here with this type of equipment. And if you own 50 acres, this is still applicable. You're going to want these same exact tools.
What's the first thing then? Let's go through them one by one here.
I think I'd choose a chainsaw first. Yeah. That would be my go-to. Like, if I had to say this is it, I would like a nice chainsaw. And of course all the protective gear, the chaps, the helmet, and then of course gloves and eye protection, and we even get these little refill bottles for 20 bucks just to limit the amount of times we have to walk back to the truck to refill. That's a good start because you can do edge feather and TSI, creating bedding thickets, temporary forest openings, cutting trees off the roads. All of that stuff starts with a chainsaw.
Absolutely. And one thing we see when people do get a chainsaw, they think the bigger the bar, the better, right? I can cut anything I want to, but honestly, it's kind of prohibitive when you've got 22-inch bar out of a chainsaw and you're trying to wield that thing around. This is an 18-inch bar on this, and that size allows you to extend but doesn't get in the way if you're in a tight area doing TSI.
Yeah.
So bigger isn't really necessarily better. This model and an 18-inch bar we found is right in the middle for just about everything you need.
Yeah.
All right, what's the next thing? Drip torch?
Probably the drip torch.
Gotta be.
We try to, when people ask us like land management, simplify it as much as possible. We're like, cut, burn, repeat. That's a pretty good, that's about as simple as we can make it. And so, especially when it comes to turkeys, like we're trying to promote turkeys here on your farm, and so a drip torch would be a must. We used it yesterday, and you know, some guys use some other tools, but you know, $150 money well spent when it comes to buying a drip torch, and then we have the fuel here with it.
And then accompany that a backpack blower to move and create your fire breaks, put out fire. Y'all saw that in the video yesterday. And then your hand rake right there too. That's a simple tool, but very useful on a fire break, especially working the timber. So that can definitely accompany a drip torch.
If you had like one of those and 5 of those for the crew, that'd be a pretty good crew.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, we had a pretty good crew yesterday, and we burnt all that back there.
That's right.
15-20 acres burned in 2 sections, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah,
that's all it took. It was more about just burning in the right conditions and basically having the property set up to burn. Yeah. Because we already have those fire breaks in place that we just mowed, you know.
That's right.
But you can contact local NRCS. Does Quail Forever, Pheasants Forever, NWTF occasionally come out and put in fire breaks and that sort of thing?
I don't know if they would. They would help advise, I believe. It
sure.
depends on the local branch, and you know, if they're wanting to do a field day event, we've seen where clients of ours have worked with them to do a fire. So yeah. The best advice is get plugged in with them and see what they've got going on.
Yeah.
So they'll use it for employee learning experiences as well. Hey, we'll come burn this, but we need to bring our guys here to your site. We've seen that even with state forestry commissions on our clients' property. So there's definitely ways to get prescribed fire. If you're not comfortable doing it, learning it, to have people assist you with it.
Sure. And then what about your hatchet there?
This is a really quick way to change the forest. You can use it, we call it hack and squirt, or everybody calls it hack and squirt. I guess we don't call it that, everybody calls it that, but basically it's hacking into the tree, cutting into the cambium layer, and then using herbicide application to kill that tree standing. This is a way that you can really change acres and acres and acres in a very short amount of time and not be, this is more of an arm ache and that's more of a back ache running a chainsaw.
But anybody can safely use this, and you can treat 2-3 man crew. We're talking 10-15 easy acres in a day doing TSI. If it's not super heavy stem count. But that's a great tool. It's easy to do.
That's a Walmart right there, a Walmart Fisker's hatchet, $20. This was like $15 online, so get the herbicide in there.
All said and done, you know, we're looking at $1,200 maybe. In this equipment. This is an upgraded saw, and that's a nice backpack blower.
Yeah, my wife be happy I can get rid of the leaves in the yard.
There you go.
So multiple uses on that. Not much money, all said and done, not much equipment. It's more just knowing how to use it properly. And we went through the burning yesterday, and now these guys are going to show me how the heck to run this chainsaw properly. Because I know how to run one, but it's the redneck way. It probably ain't the right way. Do you got another camera?
I do, but I mean, I'm gonna have to take this whole friggin' thing apart again.
Sorry for your luck.
Are you getting this, Ted?
I'm getting it.
Yep.
Getting my
We got some camera troubles over here.
my series of unfortunate events that's setting us back. Well, it's setting me back.
You're just trying to out here grinding, trying to get some content for the whitetail properties here.
Just trying my best and not
Can't
going so well.
Can't get an SD card to work right. So you're thinking we need to cut this whole place pretty near.
We need some major disturbance on this place.
I figured.
And that can come in the form of chainsaws, fire.
It's been very limited disturbance in the last 10 years.
Yeah. And that's why I think you've seen the deer get a little better. Like I told you guys yesterday, a lot of deer hunters say, I like not disturbing the place. I like both from a hunting standpoint, but also don't like running fire and burning stuff back. I like it to grow up and be kind of nasty.
Deer can handle 5-6 years in between disturbances. I mean, they do fantastic in that. Where a turkey, we start to see the sharp decline in usage, throughout an entire year if you're not disturbing a site. So, generalist species versus something that is needing that frequent disturbance.
Well, and deer are way more adaptive than turkeys.
What?
I mean, deer can survive in subdivisions and chock full of invasives.
Turkeys are a different story.
Turkeys
just like quail. They gotta have very specific
different
stuff. Yeah.
And that's where, when you look at a property that's trying to be utilized or improved for multiple species, and a couple being very dependent on disturbance, and then deer who can get away and letting stuff grow up, then you go, okay, well, let's disturb some other areas a lot that maybe we don't want the deer in, and then we're going to let other places grow up and be pretty rank.
Sounds like
there's ways to have your cake and eat it too.
That's what we're trying to do.
How's it going?
Not good.
Is that the new camera?
Oh, I don't know.
Sean?
It's the broken camera.
Yep. I'll tell you what, Sean.
What's that?
Sun gonna come up tomorrow.
Little tip though, if you find yourself with a big gnarly hole in your chaps, that's time to buy new chaps.
Yeah, it's been like that for a while.
You know, if you cut them,
they're broken.
You got to get new ones. That's just kind of general rule, but man, sure is hard to throw it away.
There's still a lot of good cutting material.
Just don't cut
back.
yourself in the knee again.
Exactly. I was actually walking out, chainsaw was still running, and I tripped and boom, wasn't even like while I was cutting, but I didn't have the chain brake on. Funk right in there. And then I kept running, chainsaw the rest of the day, and then all the sawdust went and filled in there, so then I had to go in here and cut the bottom of it out so I get all the sawdust that was stuck in there. It's all right, they're broke in.
So we'll mark the boundary, something like this, as the area, and then we're going to go in and identify the oaks and the other species that we may say we want to leave those.
Yeah. So what we're doing here is we've got this little knoll you're talking about on top of this ridge that's loaded with hickories.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what you're doing with the paint. You're just going to block off.
Yes. Making your boundary so you can come back, what we don't finish today, come back, complete the rest of the work, but then the leaf trees are going to be marked so you don't cut those ones within this unit as well.
Okay. And you guys will tell us which trees are which.
Exactly.
All right, let's do that.
What's the blue paint? The boundary of the cut.
Okay, this is the boundary.
Yeah, see where we kind of go.
Gotcha.
Somewhere like this. Paint's been in the truck a little while. It's a little frothy.
What are you gonna do now? Go in and identify specific trees?
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that some of these are marked. Even though this is out of the unit, I don't want anybody to.
You don't want to like hammer a tree and damage it. That's going to drop it off.
Since the oaks are somewhat limited across, we're gonna try to make sure we save them. Here's a chinkapin.
Chinkapin oak?
Chinkapin oak.
That's a chinkapin, and that's just a standard
That's
white?
just a standard white oak, yep.
How do you
like
know?
the
What's the
chinkapin.
difference in the chinkapin?
Both in the white oak family, smaller acorn on the chinkapin, so more, I think this one just screams turkeys to me. The chinkapin can be loaded with tiny little acorns. Ultimately, see how squirrely this one gets?
Yeah.
Kind of goes up there, and it's just a very rugged looking tree. So the bark, and then kind of sawtooth-like, but still rounded since it's in the white oak family. And then you've got your,
here's your standard white oak leaf.
right here.
Yep.
There you go.
That's a standard white oak, and that's a chinkapin.
Yep. Chinkapin oak, standard white oak, both in the white oak family.
Both good.
Both great. Yep.
Shagbark hickory.
Shagbark hickory.
Trying to get rid of them.
The black oak.
That's a black oak with a hickory growing out of it.
Yeah.
So what do you do with this? Do you take this?
Yeah, I would cut that.
Free that black oak up a little bit? And then there's
research done, University of Tennessee again, found that releasing, not fertilizing, but just releasing the oaks, cutting the competition out and around that drip line will help these have more nutrients so they produce more acorns. And that's about the best. That was a 10-year study that they did that, so.
Yeah.
There's many ways to cut a tree down with a chainsaw. First and foremost, have your safety protection, your chaps, your helmet, your gloves, long sleeves, your glasses. Ultimately, a good sharp chainsaw is always important. When it comes to dropping a tree, I know there's gonna be a lot of guys that comment on, that's not the way I do it, but there's many different ways. Most importantly, choose the safest way. But when you jump in here and you start cutting in the timber, it's important that you start trying to, for me, and the way I like to do it, is find a spot or find a hole in the canopy that can be my starting point. I don't want to create a bunch of widowmakers or trees that are cut that are leaning against other trees. I want to get the trees on the ground. So first and foremost, I start looking around, see if I can find a hole in the canopy and in the mid-story all the way to the ground. And once I do that, I'll build off of that. So I look around, looks like I've got a little hole right here. Looks like I've got a few trees that I could cut to drop into that hole. And once I do that, then I'll build off of there. Now when it comes to cutting, there's a couple different ways, but when I'm moving through timber pretty quickly, there's the face cut or the wedge cut where you cut almost a pie shape out of the front. And that usually goes in the direction I want the tree to fall. And then I cut on the back all the way through and leave that holding wood about an inch. For me personally, what I do is I do a wedge. It's like a 45 and a 45 going in and almost cutting a pie out of the front of this in the direction I want the tree to fall. And then I would come in just slightly above that cut and cut to where there's almost an inch or two and use the weight of the tree to fall right exactly where I want. Now, when I'm cutting smaller trees like this, instead of doing the pie shape, I'll just do a single cut with the bar. I'll just go straight in, almost bar width, and then come in on the other side and cut and do that same thing. If you're on bigger trees, certainly recommend the pie-like cut or the face cut. If you look at this tree, I'm getting ready to drop it that way. It's a bigger tree, so I want to try to do a face cut or the wedge cut, and I'll show you kind of how it looks. Try to shoot for that top cut in to be like at a 45-degree angle. Some guys like to do a 45 back up and make it almost a triangle in. I tend to do the flat cut parallel with the ground and then the 45 into that. But I want this tree to go that way. And the reason I want it to go that way is because it already kind of wants to go that way anyway. I'm just helping it along. You can kind of see I'm a little off, but there's that holding wood right there. About an inch wide, runs right through the middle. There you go. I'm gonna get critiqued like crazy that it's not all flat and flush, but trees down, nobody's hurt, deer happy. You can see we created the hole now.
Yep.
Now we're gonna work off of that. Send a lot of trees into that hole. First and foremost, we got a nice hickory right here. It's already kind of leaning that way. It's always clear a couple exit routes in case it all goes haywire and you need out of there. You need a couple paths to get out. Try to clear the area that you're running the saw in and an exit, and have that thought out before you start cutting the tree. Especially a tree with any size that could kill you if it falls on you. Like that one.
That made a pretty good thud.
Right on Aaron's head. There's our next victim.
some sunlight in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, just some more cutting.
Gap right there.
Oh yeah.
Some more cutting. Another, you know, if we ran the same amount of time that we just ran cutting this out, we'd probably have it knocked out.
Right.
Now we're on to the next one.
Yep.
You put half a dozen of these on the place, and all of a sudden, instead of talking about deer going to the neighbor, it's they're here.
Right.
Here.
I like it. That's a good plan.
Let's go focus on some turkeys now. All right. Turkey. Here we go.
Most important thing for here is fire.
Absolutely.
But if we really want to take it another level and really make it better for the turkeys, including the deer, is we want to remove some of the weed trees or the lower quality trees, let a little bit more sunlight come down, and then keep burning it.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it in a herbaceous understory, not a briars and bramble understory like
that's a good point. When we're talking about the blackberry, the multiflora rose, and the gooseberry themselves, those are all of them have thorns on them. Mm-hmm. And so we're wanting to change from really thorny brambles into more broadleaf plants. And the way to do that is if you add sunlight in, you still might get some more brambles. But on that fire rotation, you're going to be promoting the forbs coming back in the herbaceous. And that's the key is if you're going to add sunlight, you have to have fire back in here. Not then you're just going to get...
Will this burn pretty slow then? Because there's not like a ton of fuel in
Start
here?
it from the top.
Yeah.
Let it
back down. This would be a tremendous little burn. Incredible for hunting opportunity, as well as we start getting a little bit more sunlight and it's in the burn unit. It's a great place for a hen to raise a bunch of poults. So
sure.
Yeah, the big thing, you know, why are we focused so much on herbaceous growth rather than the brambles and the brush, if you will, is because those herbaceous plants, those forbs, those young ones, they're attracting insects. Those insects are food for the quail and the turkeys, specifically in your farm, the turkey. So we're trying to attract insects into the understory, as well as provide a little bit more cover so they can avoid predators.
And this is stuff that you don't have to plant. It's in the seed bank. We just got to get the sunlight. We got to change the environment, the growth environment, get more sunlight here, burn on rotation, and it's going to do its work for you. Mm-hmm. But it's
so, and we have to really consider the management here, because like we did over there, we just came from where we were running chainsaws and dropping a lot of trees. That can create a pretty big mess for the turkeys to navigate through. How do we get sunlight and still have kind of an open understory? And that's where we're going to use two techniques: hack and squirt or girdling and spraying. Basically, we're going to kill trees standing, and we're going to use herbicide. We're going to
and you just let them fall then naturally.
They're going to break down
fall
standing.
over time. Yeah.
Oh, they're going to break down.
Shed
standing.
limbs, then you have a pole, and eventually that's going to get blown over in a windstorm, snowstorm.
But you're not going to have all
this debris and clutter immediately on the ground.
And, and every 3-4 years we're sending fire through here. Whatever falls has already dried, standing, falls and burns up.
Sure.
The one important thing to consider when we're doing this in combination with fire is, on a fire, one of the worst things we can have is snags burning. Those are dead trees that are burning 20 foot off the ground, and they're throwing embers whichever the wind's blowing. Whichever direction the wind's blowing, that's the way it's going. So we don't advocate for using hack and squirt and girdle and spraying next to fire breaks. So I wouldn't go right up next to, okay, you're burning this unit, but we're not burning that unit. I wouldn't have 30 yards wide of hack and squirt or girdle and spray.
Because that could jump the breaks. You do that in the middle of your fire.
Do it in the middle of our fire.
You got less risk of it jumping off.
You don't want to create a hazard for yourself down the road, but you still want to manage this and not put the debris down. So we keep a little bit of a buffer for safety, but in here, man, this is free game. This is going to be good.
So we're doing a lot of things with opening up the canopy. We're promoting the next generation of oaks. We're burning. We're promoting herbaceous plants, and we're also going to be releasing the oaks that are already here, so they produce more acorns. So we have more winter food for the turkeys as well.
We can change this thing in a matter of 3-4 hours with hatchet and a chainsaw and the bottle of herbicide. And for years down the road, we're going to change the understory. And that's, I guess, the other point is I think a lot of people, they don't connect the timber with an understory, like an herbaceous understory. But naturally, that's the way this area would have been on this east slope woodland type situation. So it had components of sunlight, had fire. Most people are just like, oh, the timbers, that's where the acorns are produced and nothing else is necessary. No, we need to have an understory here of herbaceous plants to benefit deer and turkey. This is not excluded from the same plant communities that we see out in the field. Similar can be growing here in the understory too.
It's kind of like when you're hungry and you got one option is the flank steak.
Yeah.
So if you ever eat flank steak, it's not the it's not the ribeye.
No.
You're like, I'll eat a flank steak, but oh, I got a ribeye. Like, I would much rather have the better option, and right now we settle for flank steak, and we could eat ribeye. So
makes sense.
Let's make some ribeyes.
that's right.
There you go. Good way to put it.
If you look right here, we've got ironwood, 4.5 foot off the ground, or diameter breast height. I don't know, 4 or 5 inches. I'll give it a hack and another hack, and then just squirt some herbicide in there.
That's it.
And
That's it.
It doesn't matter the height in which you do it either. You could hack up here, you could hack here. The herbicide's getting to the root system and killing this tree.
That's pretty slick.
Yeah.
Your kids get this.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to give them a hatchet.
And basically, when you run that hatchet, you're just cutting inside the cambium layer. You're cutting through the bark in that first living area of the tree and getting the herbicide in there so it can transfer that down into the roots and kill that tree. So this hickory here is, I don't know, 7, 8 inches, maybe 6 inches. I tend to err on the side of let's just ensure that it's killed. So I'll give it 3 hacks. There's a deer bed right there at the base of that tree.
Yep, sure is. When would you not use that?
So I wouldn't use any herbicide. It's important to note, like in the spring green up phase, when a lot of nutrients starts getting pushed out of the root system and back up, and it's focused on growing leaves. If you do this during that time frame, depending on where you're at in the country, here, let's say mid-April, I would probably stop using the herbicide from April to mid-May.
Okay, but you can do it in the summer.
You can do it in the summer.
Or this time of year.
A better time to do it is late summer, early fall, when they're really sucking nutrients down to store up for the winter.
Okay.
But you can do it right now. A lot of these species aren't pushing sap yet.
Gotcha.
So if you were to do it during that time frame, ultimately it would transfer nutrients, just push the herbicide right out of the tree.
Sure. Ready?
Yep.
Nope. Yep.
You ready?
Yep.
Sean?
Rolling.
We got cameras. We got cameras rolling everywhere.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Just wrapping up here at the farm. Gonna kind of go over our overall plan, because we've been bouncing around doing all kinds of stuff, but now these guys are gonna leave and we're gonna have to figure out what the heck to do next. So we need to go over kind of our burn units. That's what you were just showing me. That was pretty interesting.
That's
I thought was kind of how you had everything segmented out on the map.
Yeah, we've got red units, we've got yellow units, light blue units, and white units. So ultimately we have four different years of burning. Even
just
though
color coded.
Coded, yeah. And so, like, if you look, we've got 3 different yellow burn units, but they're in different parts of the farm. So it's not like we burn this one, then we burn this one, then we burn this one. It's we burn this one and this one, then we burn that one and this one.
They're not all touching, so you're bouncing around different portions of the farm.
There's always a burn unit on the farm.
So I could just say those yellow units will be burns for spring 2023.
Yes. And then 2026, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then these blue units would be burns for 2024.
That's right.
And then 2027 or whatever.
That's
always
correct.
have fire on your property every year, but you're bouncing around and creating, you mentioned it yesterday, this matrix with fire to help maintain the work that you've done and continue to diversify it.
Yeah, and you also put the cuts on there.
That's right.
And we've done a couple of these already, and then you added in a few more that we need to go back in and do. They're either cuts, well, with the one spot that's not on there is where we did some of that hack and squirt.
That's right. It's just overall TSI. That's the purple.
Oh, okay. That's
so it's a
what
big
the purple
area
is.
that we're gonna try to really focus in on that on a unit that may be, I don't know, 6 acres.
But that's going to be a combination of hack and squirt, girdling,
spray.
and spray.
Killing trees.
Okay.
Yep. And so we've got 4 units of TSI, and that's basically kind of the ridge tops, trying to really promote understory growth, sunlight, and great habitat. You're ultimately going to chase turkeys in your burn units. So you're going to burn in February, March, or early April, and you're going to chase turkeys in late April and May, or in early May, around those burns. But then when it's not been burned, that's where we've got great brood rearing or nesting habitat, depending on how much it grows during that previous year.
it's important to note too, you've got some of the yellow units and all the blue units, they incorporate both a timber burn and a grass burn.
I was going to just say
well.
that. It's like the TSI units are within these burn units, and some of them are getting burned on certain years, some of them are not getting burned on certain years.
That's right.
It's just constant rotation.
Right. You've got heavy forward growth that's going to come back and some grass growth in these open field units, but then herbaceous understories in the timber. Same year, you're burning multiple vegetation types.
And then even on a smaller scale, within those TSI sections, you've got those cuts. And that's some of what we've been working on the last couple days, where we actually went in and you did a combination of hinge cutting and flush cutting.
Correct. That's right. Correct. And now, from when we started, you had basically 2 vegetation types. You had closed canopy forest and you had rank CRP. Now, with the plan of breaking up this property, and it's 100 acres, you've got diversity to work towards for years and years and years to come. And it's always going to be like that if you continue to use the fire as your maintenance tool. But you took something that was pretty homogeneous, the same throughout, and now have completely diversified it and offering vegetation types, plant communities for turkeys,
you can change diversity just in not only the actual species, but the growth or maturity of those species. Absolutely. So we can have young herbaceous type growth, and then next year have a more of a tall, more mature type plant. So
makes sense. I just like that we have a plan now moving forward, because that was the hardest thing for us to figure out, was like, where do you start? Like we talked about, that's kind of the common question that a lot of average folks like us have. It's like, where the heck do you start? But now
you have a target, right? You have a vision that's been painted to say, okay, this is what we're set to accomplish, and then here's how we do it in the next 3-4 years to get there. But if you don't know what you're creating, it's hard to create it.
Right.
Now you have the visual component of aerials and what that work looks like in the field.
So where's the best place for people to go to get a hold of you guys?
Website,
or watch
YouTube,
this,
and social media.
You've got lots of this content on your all's channel.
We're on Land and Legacy on YouTube, as well as Whitetail Properties Land Beat series.
Lots of videos there.
Yeah, Sean's here with us.
Looking good.
And then we've got our weekly podcast.
Just search Land and Legacy in any of those and we'll come up.
Like Dr. Chamberlain said, if everybody does a little something, he said, if everybody that loves turkeys or deer decides to go out this year and burn a small section or disc a small section or do something to change the habitat, to disturb the habitat, if everybody did a little something, either on a piece of private ground that they own, have permission to, whatever, we would all make a pretty significant difference in the turkey habitat at landscape scale across the board.
It's a compounding effect.
Yes.
When everyone's on board, kind of that neighborhood effect.
Well, that's what's happening here right now.
Things.
Like my buddy Leon that was up here trapping with us a couple weeks ago, I told y'all he's caught a bunch of coons and possums and stuff right here in the neighborhood.
You've got a neighbor who just logged last year, so you know, on the grand scheme of things, you're going to kill turkeys on this 100 acres every year, but these turkeys aren't spending their whole year on your 100 acres.
No, they move
It is
around.
a neighborhood landscape impact, and by working with your neighbors cooperatively, and you can make a really big impact on a large scale. Doesn't have to just be you, but you can kind of carry the torch and be that light in a given area.
I think how fortunate we are to have guys like Mike Chamberlain, Brett Collier, and Will Goolsby, all these researchers that are focused on turkeys, and then you have a lot of great deer researchers, and they're giving us the information. It's now our job to go, let's go do it.
Right.
Let's put this habitat on the ground.
Well, I'm anxious to see how it turns out.
Yeah,
I know there's going to be turkeys pecking around in there probably before the end of this week.
Probably.
I would believe it.
Might be out there this afternoon if we get the heck out of this food plot.
Keep Buddy out of there.
Yeah, no chance. As long as Dad keeps him fed at the house, hopefully he'll stay up there and won't hassle the turkeys back here. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank y'all for watching. Hopefully y'all learned something. I know we definitely did. It's going to keep me and the old man busy here at the farm for a while, but that's good. We got a direction.
Big to-do list. That's it. Direction's important.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, guys, for coming.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate y'all coming up here and passing along your knowledge.
Absolutely. Happy to do it.